Kit Walker is the Phantom, a purple spandex-wearing vigilante who protects the Bengala jungle and goes on a globe-trotting adventure. Remember a time when comic book movies weren't contractually obligated to insert identity politics into them? Well, jump on board this epic adventure in The Phantom. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Rewind Reviews, where we go back to a cult classic and take a look at it with fresh eyes. And we're delving into my childhood here with The Phantom, an adaptation of the pulp comic book by the same name, created by Lee Falk. I was a huge fan of the comic book growing up as a kid. I've still got a pile in the garage to this day. They were kind of like Indiana Jones with spandex. This film being released in 1996, directed by Simon Wincer, an absolute Aussie legend who's been working in the industry since the 70s and has a few recognisable titles under his name. We open the film in 1938 in the Bengala jungle, where a group of treasure hunters are here, led by not Corporal Hicks, James Remar. They're looking for an ancient treasure skull of some importance. No, not that piece of shit. Here they run into the Bengala jungle's protector, the Phantom, played here by absolutely jacked up Billy Zane before he boarded the Titanic. I remember watching the making of this film in the lead up to its release, because to say I was a little bit excited about this movie coming out is a huge understatement. And I saw that Billy Zane spent like a year and a half in the gym just getting jacked and fit for this role. And my God, it paid off. He looks phenomenal filling out the purple spandex. Remember the days we used to work out vigorously for a comic book movie role? I mean, nowadays, just pad that shit out. Good old Phantom here, or his Bruce Wayne alter ego, Kit Walker, has some daddy issues, and we discover that his father was murdered by James Remar's character back in the day, which obviously prompted Kit to take up the Phantom mantle. They call the Phantom the Ghost Who Walks, because although over the course of 400 years the character has been killed apparently, he keeps popping up again. And the rub is, of course, because once the Phantom is killed, because he's not immortal, it gets passed down to the son, and they take up the vigilante character. But what if the Phantom had a daughter, I hear you ask? Well, I'm sure we'll find that out if they ever make a modern remake. The plot revolves around a billionaire tycoon by the name of Xander Drax, played evilishly awesome here by Treat Williams. He wants to get his grubby hands on these 3 treasured skulls, because apparently once you put them together, they have some immense power of taking over the world or some bullshit. He's working for a secret organisation called the Brotherhood, and they're kind of like a secret society that insert themselves into, big businesses and high society, working from the shadows, pulling the strings of evil doing unbeknownst to other people. You know, kind of like Spectre, in a way, or the Illuminati, or communism. The Phantom, or Kit Walker, bumps into an old college pal here, and obvious potential love interest by the name of Diana Palmer, played here by original Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Christy Swanson. She's a hands-on explorer who rolls up her sleeves and gets shit done and doesn't need no man to rescue her. Until she does. I don't know what it is about this vintage look that they've got going on for this character, but it's so hot. However, she is kidnapped by the redeemable henchwoman, played by an up-and-coming Catherine Zeta-Jones here, who leads an all-female leather-cad fighter pilot gang. So hot. The film then becomes a treasure-hunting, globe-trotting adventure. Has cheesy dialogue and over-the-top acting. There's excellent practical effects and a heap of in-camera awesome stunts. The set dressing and the costumes are fabulous. All 1930s, looking fantastic. It's all art-decking delicious. Every shot just pops out off screen. It's so vibrant and full of colour, which is ironic because the comic book that it's based on was all in black and white. The Phantom suit looks great. It's probably the most accurate adaptation of a comic book hero's suit put on screen. And of course, thanks to that year-long workout regime of Billy Zane, he looks fantastic in it. And of course, this was made in the 90s, when 90s comic book movies didn't shy away from the silliness or the campiness of it, and for more or less adapted exactly what was on the comic book page onto screen. In saying that as well, Billy Zane is uber charming in this film. He oozes charisma, and it's a bit of a shame he didn't become a bigger star or a more bankable leading man after this film. Yes, I know he was in one of the biggest films of all time, but that was more Leo's film or Kate Winslet's than anyone else's. And it was the 90s, so comic book movies were considered by some actors as the kiss of death or career suicide, unlike today. The whole film is a smorgasbord of not quite A-list actors for the time in the 90s, but probably the next tier down. They probably all thought this was going to be their big break, being a big, action blockbuster film, but it never really came to fruition, except, of course, for Catherine Zeta-Jones, who became a big star, and after this film was in another pulp comic book adaptation in Zorro. Ugh, so hot. This film could only have been made in the 90s. The filmmakers handled the source material with love, care, and affection, and it's an honest adaptation. It's beautiful. I mean, let's be blatantly honest. If they made a modern remake today, you know exactly what they'd fucking do with it, because we've seen it done before. They would gender swap the main character. The Phantom would now be a female. They wouldn't swap the love interest, though. That'd still be female as well, Diana Palmer. And they would just, mash vaginas together and go take down the 1930s patriarchy. I mean, have you heard what they're going to do with the modern remake of Zorro? Get fucked! The film obviously does have some feminist values sprinkled in throughout of it, which is fine. It doesn't overtake the plot, and it's not overbearing, it's just there. Unfortunately, there was no epic toy line to accompany the release of this film. There was 2 action figures released, and being a huge fan, of course, I had them. But I would have liked to have seen other characters on the shelves, like Diana Palmer or Catherine Zeta-Jones' character. But I don't know if it was the studio or toy companies who just didn't have faith in the character because it was an old character from way back when. Apparently there was a god-awful TV series that was like an up-to-date modern remake released in 2009, but that died a horrible death and only lasted 2 episodes. This film is immense fun, uber cheesy. It's really fun for the whole family. Unfortunately, we never got a sequel, and I don't know why. Maybe it didn't make its money back. I'm not sure. But yeah, that would have been good to see a second one. But if you like films like The Shadow or The Rocketeer, I think this is right up your alley. It's good fun. Just all I've got to say is, please, Hollywood, don't fucking remake it. But that's it, guys. That's my review of one of my childhood favourites, The Phantom. Love this film, love the character, and let's just, leave it where it is. Guys, write down below, what is your favourite pulp comic book adaptation? The 90s had a few. And, if I haven't seen them, I'll watch them. And, of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give us a thumbs up, because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies, and I assume you do as well. And, of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon, because we give out episodes weekly, and we'll see you back here next week for the next review, and until then, stay spooky, kids.